What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Until Dawn 2. A couple weeks ago, I just made a video on this very channel where I talked about Until Dawn being my favorite horror game, and that's not like a new thought or anything. I mean, it's a new video, but I've loved Until Dawn for 10 years. I mean it, it's my favorite horror game. It holds so many memories to me, and I want a sequel. And turns out, I mean, these things didn't necessarily go in this perfect order, but we have kind of not known, but we've heard for a while that Firesprite, right, which was acquired by PlayStation a couple of years back, that it very much seems like they're working on Until Dawn 2. When Until Dawn got that remaster remake, there was that, I don't know if you want to call it secret ending, but kind of that extra tacked on stuff. They brought back Hayden Panettiere, which is incredible. I mean, I love her in Until Dawn, love her Kirby as Scream. She was Kairi in Kingdom Hearts. I mean, she's legendary, to be honest with you. But, so they bring her back, they add extra scenes, I think maybe one or two, or they definitely added like the ending. And that kind of gets the train moving, you know, that it really seems like even before that, there were so many rumors of an Until Dawn 2. Now, okay, enough blabbering. I saw this thread on Reddit, and I want to give the person who posted it a ton of credit because they did such an amazing breakdown. Just want to read it because I think it probably makes the point far better than I ever could. All of the, not evidence, but these things that it seems to line up. You know, really, there's been a lot of signs that it could be an Until Dawn 2. This person puts it all together, asks a couple questions, and I think it's a legendary recap. So it comes from Wisteria Willow the Wisp. I hope they're watching. Sometimes they'll watch when I make these kind of Reddit videos. So if you're watching, again, absolute kudos to you and just an incredible breakdown here. So, more potential info on the Firesprite Project Heartbreak unreleased game. Then they talk about, again, it's kind of been thought of that it's going to be Until Dawn 2 or an Until Dawn related game. So they say I did a longer post about all this here, including some sources, but here's the abbreviated thing, okay? It's set in a contemporary times. It takes place on an island. It has a female protagonist. It is within the dark fantasy survival horror genre. It has cinematic branching, and it's based on established IP. And, I mean, again, you can go deeper. You could do your own research. You could look at this person's research, but those are things, I think a lot, because I think I've actually found a couple of those things myself as well. They're pretty easy to find, you know, whether they're job postings or just things that people have said or whatever. Actually, I think a lot of it probably does come through job postings. The focus on heavy narrative I remember seeing in a job posting. The focus on like how, I think it's Unreal Engine 5 they're doing and just how kind of cinematic it'll be. Those were in job postings. You learn a lot. You don't learn what the game is specifically, but you can learn a lot from job posting. Okay, so they say I periodically check places for news on Firesprite. I ended up coming across an Italian article about an interview with a former employee, and it mentioned this game. Then I found a few more articles and a stream. I will link all the info below. It took me a bit to get a good idea about the conversation since I don't speak the language, but I find these points interesting. So the dev is Antonio Finaro, a former cinematic lead on the game. Interesting note, he specializes in creature animation. So there's the Wendigos. He said the game has a spectacular ocean environment with amazing water animation. I'm a freaking diehard for water, so that immediately touches the soul. Note, this meshes with the island setting info we already knew. He mentioned there are some famous actors in it, and okay, we'll go back to that. He said it's a PS5 exclusive, and he said this differs from this document saying it's also on PC. We'll talk about that later as well. He said the game is very cinematic. It's really high-tech, doing amazing things with Unreal Engine 5. He mentioned that it's a very big deal project to Sony, and he said that Sony's making a movie adaptation of it in the future. Now, the notes, they say, the interview's from March of 24, so it actually was before the Until Dawn movie. So we'll come back to that as well. It has David Cage inspirations. David Cage, of course, Quantic Dream, Heavy Rain, Detroit Become Human. Troy Baker's probably not in this game. Sorry, I just thought this was funny. And then they say, again, they don't speak Italian, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt, whatever. But, you know, look, we can all watch the interviews or whatever. We can read the articles. Some really great info, and I appreciate that person doing the hard work for me. So, you know, again, the creature animation thing, I mean, I think that lines up for obvious reasons. The ocean thing, so that ties to the island, right? So you have that. pretty famous actors in it. Like, here's the thing. I think Hayden Panettiere is going to be in it. Whether it's like a direct Until Dawn 2 and it's Sam, right? I don't know. Well, actually, okay. I mean, I guess that kind of contradicts what I just said. I think you can have her in it, but not be like, we've seen it with horror movies all the time, right? When a character kind of comes in to help. In fact, if you think about it, just sticking with Hayden, like Kirby in Scream, like she's come back now in Scream 6, and she was kind of a helper. She was there to kind of not usher in, maybe help usher in, help educate, kind of be part of a larger plot around her. And part of the Scream franchise and still the same character, but, not necessarily like the exact same thing that she was doing back in 2011 for Scream 4. So maybe similar thing here, she can be in it. She can be one of the 6 characters you play as. Maybe she dies. Maybe she doesn't die. Maybe she's kind of a mentor, help me. And, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that, kind of this passing of the torch, like Requel is what Scream did, right? Where it's like, okay, same rules, different people. So, she's like a mentor character, maybe helps pass the torch. She's brought in, I think I Know What You Did Last Summer, kind of same thing, right? You go to like a veteran of the event. So like Sam, did the events of Until Dawn. And others did too, but she is kind of referred to as the main character, right? So you bring her in. You could maybe bring in the others from Until Dawn, but definitely her, and she can maybe usher this new group and help them out and kind of teach them the rules, like what happens when this kind of situation plays out. That would very much follow kind of the classic, horror tropes that we're seeing. And by the way, tropes, I say, it doesn't necessarily have to mean a bad thing. It's been highly successful in a lot of these reboot type things. And it also would follow the famous actors, right? So you have Hayden Panettiere, famous in that scope. I think she's generally famous. I don't think she's like the most famous person of all time. But I mean, if she's part of like an ensemble and they're going with the theme of Until Dawn, like Until Dawn had some okay names. At the time, it was more kind of her level. Nobody was like unbelievably massive, but there was a lot of talent in that Until Dawn group. So do the same thing here, kind of some underappreciated people. This is Fire Sprite, but I think about Supermassive and kind of the way that they've done the Dark Pictures anthology. I think they've kind of kept that heart because, they'll go after, they've had like Ashley Tisdale and Brenda Song, and it's like, they are very popular. I think Brenda Song is actually like gigantic popular, but I don't know, like she's also not this ginormous, movie star. She is very like social media wise, and she's very talented. So you kind of like pluck people from like unorthodox ways, and I think Hayden Panettiere would be a way of doing it. And maybe you go from for other people that are kind of in that general sphere. Supermassive has been doing that for a while. Fire Sprite might do the same thing. In terms of the PS5 exclusive, I think this should also be on PC. Until Dawn, like here's the thing, like for me, I would want the game to do as well as humanly possible. You know what I mean? Especially if you're bringing back this franchise, and let's not forget the first Until Dawn game did really well. And of course, if you remember the history, like it did shockingly well, and PlayStation really wasn't prepared for it. And when the game came out, I think in August, and then that fall season, they kind of, it seemed like at least, okay, they scrambled and they were like, oh my God, can we tie it into Halloween in any way? But it really probably should have been released in October, or at least it should have had like the second marketing push in October, and it really didn't have it. So while I think PlayStation kind of fumbled the bag there a little bit, the game did so well without help. Really without help. So I guess it's not impossible. Like, hey, if you make just a really great horror game that, survival horror games kind of are a little bit more niche besides Resident Evil, but like we've seen it with Silent Hill, they can be super good, but there's kind of a cap. They might sell 2, 3, 4 million. That's kind of it. Until Dawn, I think, can push that. Does it need the help of PC? I don't think that would hurt whatsoever. I mean, if you could split it, or you could do like a 60-40 thing on PlayStation PC, this would be a game that I would actually really try to push to be on PC. Probably same day, and I actually am not so against console exclusives, but I think you should try to put it on PC for this one in particular. And then the very big deal to Sony, that's cool to hear. Just the, again, like it's a franchise or an IP, I guess, that I really care about. And, they make the movie, I guess that was the next point, but there is so much potential here. So that's kind of just excitement, right? Like it's a big deal to Sony. That's cool for me to hear it. And then again, Sony's making a movie. This was back in March of 24. To my knowledge, the only PlayStation-related things are The Last was Part 2 and Until Dawn. Is there anything, maybe Gran Turismo? Did that come out last? So, unless it's a Gran Turismo project, but it doesn't sound, that's the wrong studio, number one, and it's going to be Until Dawn. What else could it possibly tied to an IP? They're going to do a movie. like Gravity Rush. Gravity Rush is actually going to get a movie, but there's always the rumors of Gravity Rush 2 being tied in with it, or Gravity Rush 2 remastered being tied in. So I don't think they're making a Gravity Rush game. I would kind of do some unspeakable things to get Gravity Rush back, but I would also do unspeakable things to get Until Dawn back. The David Cage thing, that's going to upset people because David Cage is a very polarizing person. I'll just continue to say what I've said before. I love Heavy Rain. I really like Detroit, and I'm actually a very diehard fan of Beyond Two Souls, and that's my story, I guess, for that. And then Troy Baker, I think that was maybe just a funny part of the actual interview. Means nothing. So, yeah, there you go. I really believe it. I believed it before this thread. I'm going to be real with you, but definitely after this thread. I mean, actually, that's some key stuff, right? This person worked there. They got the background, what they say in the interview. Like, it's going to be Until Dawn 2. And I don't want to jinx it. And I know I just, like, those two things kind of contradict. But, like, I want to will it into existence. Like, I really want to believe it's Until Dawn 2. I might just start speaking like it's a fact and try to will it. That, I could get massively disappointed if something goes wrong with it. But I'm really hopeful right now. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and hope to see you all on the next one.